I am from basically a suburb of Wichita, but my family's been around there for a long time. Wichita is a city of entrepreneurship and blue-collar employees, right? We have machine shops, aviation, and we grew up actually not knowing much different than trading hours for dollars, but that's what you did, and you put in a hard day's work. And Wichita is just a great center for Kansas, and actually the shifting powers of Kansas are shifting to South Central. We have for the first time in Kansas history the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House, both from the Wichita area. I see my 6 kids, my 5 grandkids. I see their faces and their futures, and that's what drives me, particularly on things like education and our parental rights and opportunities for our kids, is the fact that I want my kids and my grandkids to have those opportunities that are changing. That's what scares me the most about kind of the woke agenda, the sexualization of children, and so it's their faces that I see. I am a blessed man. I mean, it's been wonderful to have them all around. I mean, they all live with us. Every Sunday afternoon we do a family event. We have all the kids and in-laws and grandkids, and it's just that's a time where you kind of regenerate and touch base with why we do what we do. Well, what I've learned being the time I've been in the legislature, you really need to treat people with respect and give respect. And there's some of these natural tendencies you have, particularly between the House and the Senate. And so we worked really hard to try to build that relationship of trust. And we have that now with Dan. Dan's a great guy. So we were able to come in and put an agenda together that actually works. Because it takes, we're bodies of consensus. You're not the chief executive, right? You're not the governor. And so you see situations where, like, particularly down in Florida, which is, I'm a big fan of Ron DeSantis and what he's done. And we've had some of these arguments about what he's doing. I literally had a colleague of mine say, well, why don't you do this like DeSantis? And I said, you know who the president of the Senate is in Florida? He goes, well, no. I said, that's my point. We're bodies of consensus, so you have to build these relationships, and that's how you get things done, right? And so and Dan's a key part of that, having the House and the Senate is why we started the Truth Caucus. We wanted both chambers to work together, and you've got to work through some of those natural resistances that occur in those bodies, right? Where you have the House is envious of the Senate, or the Senate is irritated with the House, or however you want to say it. And so we worked really hard at building those relationships, and it's paid off. We've been able to do some things in Kansas, even under divided government, that weren't thought possible maybe even 4 or 5 years ago. We are looking to lower the burden, and it'll be interesting how we deal with Governor Kelly on that one. That we've had this move to reduce sales tax on food, and that's not in and of itself a bad thing at all. We need to be able to do something. We also need to get tax off retirement, and ideally we would flatten the income tax, because that makes it the least progressive, less tax on capital, and it also gives us the opportunity then to gradually lower that as well. Still, education is our number one, and that's where we tend to disconnect with the Democrat administration. And then when they talk about Kansas, they're always referring to the government of Kansas. And when we talk about Kansas, we're referring to Kansans, our neighbors and colleagues. And they're the ones that need the choice. So they tend to want to push the emphasis onto the institution of this kind of industrial education that we have. And we want to push the emphasis onto the parents and the kids and clean up the pathway for kids to succeed. And actually, I love the phrase "learn to earn," right? That is why we educate, is for our children to be productive members of society.